Lauren, you can say hi to people so they know that they can hear you too.
Hello, everybody. If you're here waiting for the webinar, we're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes. Great to see you here with us today. And you're in for a real treat. This is going to be a very powerful and enlightening next 90 minutes or so. So stay tuned. Hold on. We'll be back with you shortly.
What's up?
If you're just joining us, folks, it's Lauren Lockman coming to you from Tanglewood in Costa Rica, and we're going to be getting started in just a minute or two. Just hang on. We'll be right back with you.
I'm trying here to take the place of Hila, who is having internet problems. She cannot support us in the background.
Hi.
There she is. Hello.
I came back from the okay, so I'm here and I think
okay.
We can start. Lauren?
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you today. I'm talking to you from Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica, where I have the great privilege and pleasure of living and taking people through amazingly powerful and transformative processes. And if you've been following my work or not over the last 20 plus years, you've known that I've dedicated most of my adult life to working on my own growth and change and helping other people do the same. And I'm constantly looking for resources because while I'd like to believe I've got some powerful tools, there are so many people out there who have even bigger and better ideas and have worked things out that I haven't yet figured out. And so it's my great privilege today and pleasure to introduce you to Arnina Kashtan, who I'm going to be saying a few words about before we actually get Arnina on. But Arnina is an amazing woman, and her quest has been one for learning and teaching to speak authentically, beyond limiting beliefs and blocking emotions. She's an international speaker and a certified trainer with the Center for Nonviolent Communication since 1993. She's led workshops, seminars, retreats in Israel, the U.S., and Europe. And in 2000, she founded Metarim, which is the Center for Nonviolent Communication in Israel. And she serves there as the lead trainer, as well as a consultant and mediator for individuals, families, and organizations. Part of her passion to bring the consciousness of courage and compassion to the world, she co-founded the NVC Training for Coaches, Mediators, and Trainers program in Israel, now in its 7th year. She's training people to become NVC and Compass coaches and trainers. And as a senior facilitator of the work of Byron Katie since 1998, she's created a unique combination of these two modalities into a method of deep self-discovery, empowerment, and leadership. Her background as a musician, combined with her being a published writer and poet, translator, and editor, have been key contributors to her passionate encounters with a variety of audiences around the world. Nina is one of those rare people who has been able to find the tools and incorporate them, combine them to create something even more powerful as these things come to work together. You know, I've been working with NVC now for about 15 years and found it to be a very powerful tool, and not too much later came across the work of Byron Katie myself. And so these are two of the tools I've been using both for myself, working with my own issues and challenges, and in working with my thousands of clients over the years. But I found no one else who's been able to combine these tools with other tools to create a new art form as powerful as the compass. And so Arniina is going to be here with us for the next 90 minutes or so, sharing with us about the compass and talking about how this incredibly powerful program and series of processes can help you. Arniina, how are you doing today?
Very good. It sounds very interesting, the person that you introduced. Who is she?
Yes, yes.
It takes a few years to be around. What do you say?
I said I had a feeling you might think so.
I didn't hear. It takes quite a few years to be around to get to that list of things that you describe about me. It feels nice.
That's the most amazing thing. You've done all that in just 29 years of life.
Oh, God. I hope to live up to the promise.
Yes.
At least at some point.
I'm sure you will. Well,
and I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, Arniina, let's start with some basic questions, because the people who are listening to us today, and perhaps many of the people, maybe most of the people who are not listening to us today, that's almost everybody in the world today, is interested in those two groups. Either they are or they aren't here. Everyone is interested in creating change. Everyone wants to change. Everyone's got issues that they're not happy with. Everyone's got problems. Everyone's got challenges that they face and frequently face over and over again. And yet, so many people have such a hard time effectively creating change. Why is it so challenging to create change?
We have that part of our brain that is thinking and hearing you now and saying, well, it sounds so necessary and accessible, and many people talk about change, especially people who are on the path of awakening or discovering.
Right.
And change is like a word that we use, commonly, and yet it's so difficult. Many people, even when they are already familiar with some methods or approaches or tools for change, and they have learned and even integrated them, find so many times that they fall back into old habits. I can testify for myself. It's not that I'm talking about other people. Everything that I'm talking or sharing or teaching is something that I've experienced or learned and or discovered myself. So absolutely. I've been there, really been there. So I know from my heart that it's really, really hard. So I kept asking myself that question: why does it take so long? Why is it so difficult? Why do we fall back into habits or patterns of thought or behavior that are not good for us, that are not serving us, and it keeps happening?
Right.
So along the years, I discovered three major powers that are out there and in here.
Okay.
For every human being. Every human being is faced with those powers, and for me, my understanding, those are the three powers that block every human being from having change being an easy, accessible thing to do.
Okay.
I will now go more deeply into these powers, and I would love to introduce them, and so that and the reason for me to do that is that usually when we try to create change, most of us do it with the old method of judging ourselves as not good or
not worthy.
Something wrong with me.
Yeah.
No, what did you say?
Not worthy.
Not worthy. Any of those. We'll talk about it a little later. We'll go much deeper into those beliefs.
Yeah.
But the common way of creating change, and that goes deep into education, in the educational system as well, is by forcing the change to happen, by concentrating on the behavior itself, and telling ourselves or another person, you just need to try harder, or you don't want enough, or any of those that create more tension when we are trying to achieve something to give us more ease and relaxation. So the reason that I am always eager to introduce those three powers and all the rest of what I teach in the Compass, which I've developed along the years, is that the basic, I want to say power, but it's not like power, it's like antidote power that I want to introduce while introducing those powers is compassion. So before I dive into the three powers, I want to say a few words about compassion.
Yeah.
It's also a word that it's, thank God, used more frequently in the recently in the recent 20 years, I would say, than ever before. I mean, I knew this word as a child, but I never used it. I never understood what it meant because it's so confused with pity, especially in Hebrew. I don't know how it is in English. That compassion, I think compassion in English, because it comes from Latin, is more clearly understood, but it's still confused between, for example, compassion and identification, for example, when we talk about empathy especially. Empathy
Yes. There is some confusion, no question.
Right. So for me, empathy is compassion in action.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I maintain my heart? For me, compassion is maintaining my heart open into the experience of the other person, or my experience, which is much harder because no one taught us compassion. Many people were not exposed to what it is and what it feels like.
Right.
So what I'm saying here is that, and I think your work also, when you work with people, goes along these lines. That is, you don't force people to create change. I'm hearing myself double.
Yes, that's right.
Let's see what's happening on the technical lane.
It's Reut's computer.
What?
Silence Reut's computer if she sits there.
Reut, maybe. Yeah, it's better now. No, is it? Hello.
Better.
Yeah, it's better. Okay, fine. Because if there are two computers, the echo comes in. Okay, so still there's echo.
She's in a different room.
This is a not very favorable evening for technology tonight, so bear with us.
We'll do the best we can. Yeah. Maybe we can approach this situation with some compassion.
Exactly. I think it's so missing in the world, and I really, really, really want to encourage people to taste it. And I hope this evening, with what I'm introducing, we will have more of the flavor of what it means to look at the same situations from a different angle, which includes compassion.
Which, you mentioned the Latin. Compassion means with passion.
Right.
and we think of passion as strong emotion from the heart, right? So it's really, it's strongly coming from a heart-centered place.
Yes, yes, yes. Hopefully, and that's where I'm aiming in my life. That I'm transforming, really, truly transforming from self-loathe that has been there for years into not only self-compassion but self-acceptance and even self-love, which is really an achievement of where I'm coming from. So I hope this will apply for many, many people who are listening and who are not listening today.
Yeah.
So I want to dive into describing and talking about those three powers that I found that are blocking almost every human being from creating change easily.
Yeah, please do.
And those are the brain, society, and the family. These are the titles, and I'm going to dive into each one of them and say a lot more about each one of them.
These are the three things that block us from change.
Right.
Okay.
The brain,
okay,
society, and the family, and I will explain right now.
Yeah.
So when I say the brain, I mostly mean the reptilian brain, the ancient brain,
Okay.
which is located in the back of the skull. And as the name suggests, it's common for us and animals. That
Right.
is, it's not operated and it doesn't recognize words. It recognizes signals and signs and visions. And the ancient brain includes also the limbic brain, which is the emotional, the brain of emotion. So that brain operates, its function in our lives, as is for animals, is to maintain our survival.
Right.
That's it. You know that, I'm sure.
Yes. And I think beyond survival. I mean, from part of that reptilian brain is also our physical and sexual desires, which are beyond our own survival and to our survival of our genes.
Yeah. Right. Okay. But what I'm referring more is the real sense of maintaining us alive.
Right.
Which is, for example, when we are in the jungle, we were in the jungle, okay? The only categorizing that this brain does or knows to do is between dangerous and non-dangerous.
Right.
That's it. There's
right.
no more need for anything for survival.
Right.
So this is why, interestingly enough, for at least 3,000 years of evolution, this brain has not changed at all, although there have been many changes in the human condition and structure. This brain has not changed. And although it's really annoying, because I would like to be without this or far beyond or advanced or whatever,
Right.
I always come back with compassion to understand that there is a deep meaning for this non-change.
Yes.
Because survival is a very short and clear thing if it doesn't happen.
Right.
I mean, there's no luxury there. We cannot look at the lion and say, what a nice lion, then we're gone, okay?
Right.
So we need to have it function fast.
Yes.
This is why two things happen. One is very interesting. That the one that I mentioned is that it only functions on dangerous, non-dangerous level.
Right.
The second thing, which is very interesting about this brain, is that it's wired so that it recognizes what is not functioning. Again, it functions on the negative, on what is not working.
So kind of looking for issues.
I ask myself,
right? It's looking
for issues?
Yeah. That part of the brain.
It doesn't have issues. It doesn't have issues. Soon enough, I'll talk about the cortex, and then we'll see how issues come to live inside of us. But when we don't have the thinking brain, the only thing is that for survival, it's a luxury to notice something nice or working, because it doesn't serve us for survival.
I see. Mm-hmm.
For survival, only if I notice what is not working, then I can be alert and react.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
So this is exactly where the cortex the thinking brain comes in and creates the mess for human beings. What is the mess? Instead of just living simply, is this dangerous? I can do one of the 3 Fs, fight, flight, or freeze. I'll talk about it in a minute. If it's not dangerous, fine. No need to worry. But with the thinking brain, everything is complicated.
Right.
Because instead of just categorizing to dangerous, non-dangerous, we've learned, I don't know where from, probably in how do you call it, the Garden of Eden? Yeah, the Garden of Eden.
Right.
When we ate that one apple and we realized that there is something called consciousness, that's it, we're gone. Now what we have instead of dangerous, non-dangerous, we have right and wrong. That's it. Destruction of humanity.
that damn apple.
Yeah, right. So maybe we stopped eating fruits, huh?
Maybe that's what happened. That wasn't the answer. That wasn't the answer.
Oh, God. So once we are operating on right and wrong thinking, which immediately flows into the what I mean by society, I'll get into it in a minute.
Yeah.
Then we almost don't operate directly and only on the reptilian brain, even we're not in the jungle. How does it happen on a daily basis? We walk into somewhere, either the supermarket or a meeting of people, and when I enter a place where I don't know the people, my reptilian brain is alert.
Right.
It's alert for survival.
Right.
But instead of just noticing if it's dangerous or not, which is usually not, because most people don't kill most people anymore, we do the categorizing by judging the people that I see into right or wrong according to their behavior.
Okay.
And that's how we operate on a daily basis. We are not connected to our instincts in the sense of survival, but in the sense of let's say, societal survival, which is not the same, because this amount of danger does not exist anymore. I mean, we need this kind of fear when we cross the road. Yes, I want to be alert so that I can run away from the car. I mean, I want to not cross the road at all.
Right.
But if there is a real danger coming, then I am glad I have this reptilian brain to help me move fast. Either flight or freeze. Okay.
Right.
But in normal societal situations, we don't need that. We don't need that. And yet, so many of us, so much of the time, live in this kind of tension and stress because we are alert on all the time where the danger is going to come from. Who's going to judge us? Who am I going to judge? So the judgment of based on right-wrong thinking, which is how we all, at least in the Western society, are trained to think, is what is leading our daily functioning. The thinking, the behaviors, the habits, the reactions, the relationships, everything. So this is the second part, the part where we all inherited this thinking without choosing it at all. When we were babies, you and I and all the other billions, we did not choose. I mean, there is a whole philosophy that says we chose, but let's say consciously, as we know consciousness, we did not choose to come to this consciousness.
Right. Or to be born into these parents or into these families. Right?
Exactly. Right. So we were born into a certain family or in a certain place or in a tribe, doesn't matter.
Right.
And in that place, as very, very young creatures, very small and totally dependent, that is the part that is most important for us to understand, and increase compassion. To understand that truly and deeply we were born dependent, totally dependent. This is not a story. This is not a legend. This is reality. This is true. This small body, which we were all once, was dependent, was totally dependent. Namely, if those Gullivers over there would not have taken care of me, I would not be here now.
Right. Right.
And the body knows it. That's the survival mechanism. I know that I depend, that I need that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even register it as words. It's like the knowing of the self, of the body, without words. Really, really pre-verbal. And then what happens? It so happens then that because we are so dependent, we are geared to learn how to act in the environment we were born into.
Mm-hmm.
There are rules around us. People behave in a certain way. They talk to each other, talk to us. They move, they look, and all that we learn through mimicking and absorbing. Mostly during the first year, we learn so much information. It's unbelievable. And in those 1 to 7 first years, most of our understanding about the world is formed. And how is it formed? Through those people. Because that's the only ocean we'll learn to swim in.
That's our model. That's all we know.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we don't have the idea. We don't have... It doesn't occur to us, ever.
Right.
I mean, at some point it starts doing, but it doesn't occur to us that we can go somewhere else or that life can look different.
Right. Sure.
You know, when I was 4 years old, I said to my mom, I'm going to look for another mother. And I went to the door, and I opened the door. Well, I must have realized that this is not really going to happen. So I turned back to her and I said, you're going to be a different mom.
How'd that work out?
She didn't change.
No, yeah.
But it's a great scene, you know.
Yeah.
It's like we have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to go. This is it. This is it.
Yeah. Our reality is fixed at that point. We have no abstractions around these things. We can't interpolate outside of what we can see. It's just what we have.
Exactly. And what I'm trying to say is that because in those formative years, so much of what entered to our system, you know, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is that material. This is what we keep on maintaining until one day some of us, very few of us, wake up and realize that there is something else out of this box that we're so used to that it seems the only reality existing.
Right. In other words, I think another way of saying this, Arniina, is that we become programmed.
Yes.
In early life, and most human beings, unfortunately, never figure out that they've got these blocks to change because they never overcome this programming.
Yeah, because they don't. It's not exactly they don't overcome. They don't realize that
they don't even know it's programmed.
That it's possible to come out of it.
Right.
I mean, everything around us is speaking the same language, is thinking the same, has the same worldview, the same paradigm of right-wrong thinking, the same prizes and punishments. This is what is around us, at least in the Western world, which is tons of people.
Yeah.
So how would it occur to us that there is another possibility at all? It doesn't.
Yeah.
I think what you do in your work, you know, bringing people, which I would say bringing people back to their natural state of physical and mental well-being.
Yes.
Would you say that this is what you do?
Absolutely. That's our intention, and that's what's happening most of the time, yes.
Right. So I think this is where we meet, you know, philosophically.
Yeah.
Because you do it through the body, and I do it through the spirit and mental and emotional world.
Exactly.
Because yeah.
I'm sorry.
I believe that.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I believe that the diamond of who we really are, our essence, is right here inside, waiting for us.
Yes.
So we need to peel off some layers of those habits and patterns and beliefs and worldview
Yeah.
especially because it has been so painful for so many generations, and we have inherited it through the family. So it seems so glued to us that it doesn't even feel as if I can be something else. It has become so much my identity that the thought of letting go, of giving up on it, is horrendous. And here it comes back to the reptilian brain, because what this brain does is to hold on to what it knows, even if what it knows hurts me.
Is not empowering, right? Yeah.
I mean, this is why beaten women or men, which is less common,
Right.
go back again and again and again and again to the perpetrator.
Right.
It's only because that's what the reptilian brain knows as familiar, and whatever is familiar creates comfort, even if it's horrible.
Exactly.
Because I know how to function. I know how to function.
Exactly.
So I'll go back there.
It's less scary to those people than the unknown, which might in fact be far superior in many ways, but is way too scary for them.
Exactly. I mean, this is for me the essence of the tragedy of us being humans, especially in the West. The fact that we're actually trapped in the umbrella of right-wrong thinking, and in the brain that holds whatever it knows as familiar, doesn't let us, discover. So we have to have so much intentional, ongoing work to overcome that fear, the fear of the brain, because there is no malintention there.
Right.
It's not that the brain is against us. It's not that society is against us. It's not that our parents are against us. No. The intention is phenomenal. They really want to protect us, all these entities,
Yes, of course.
So,
of course, but we have this deeply embedded sense of fear about anything we're unfamiliar with.
Right, because we've been taught to fear the unknown. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So when we want to talk or look at what can I do to change this, here's where nonviolent communication of Marshall Rosenberg comes in for me, and gives the first and biggest clue to where can I look to even have the hope that I can do something about these powers.
Yeah.
And the big clue is the understanding of the existence of needs as the motivating power in the human life.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know that because you are a little familiar, or a lot familiar with nonviolent communication. And
very, very familiar. Yeah.
Right. So the idea, the idea that there is, that behind every action or thought or reaction that we have, there is a human need, is revolutionary, because that is the substitute for the idea that of the notion of the right-wrong thinking, which says behind every human action there is a bad intention. If we don't rule people, they will become anarchists.
Exactly.
If we don't tell the kids how to be from morning to evening, they will become animals.
Yeah.
That is only based on the fear that we have inherited from ages ago.
Right. Now, something that comes up, though, I think, even looking at this idea of needs and their overarching importance can be scary for people, because it requires a willingness to take responsibility.
Yeah.
If everything I'm creating, if the things I'm doing that maybe I'm not so happy about or not so proud of, I'm doing because I have some need, then ultimately it's my responsibility how I deal with that need.
Yeah, I think you jumped a little too fast for people who are not familiar with it, so I'll walk 2 steps backward, and we'll get to this one.
Okay, great.
So how does it function? How do we get to where you already see? it starts again from very early on, as children in a family, where the family usually talks to us in right-wrong thinking and gives us a lot of no as a way of education.
Right.
And very quickly we learn that if they are angry or upset, not even angry, or even only frustrated, it's because of us.
Right.
So I think that's where you're heading to. So we learn the idea that what someone feels is caused by another person.
Exactly.
When they were blaming us for their way of their mood, we learned that connection.
That's right.
So then we have this, the brain organizes the understanding. We have to make sense of whatever is going on. So we create for ourselves explanations of what's going on. So under the umbrella of right-wrong thinking, the explanation, the most common explanation young people, which is us, give themselves is, aha, if we already understand that there is this thing that's called right-wrong, they are not satisfied with me, it means I'm wrong. There's no escape from that. We only have two choices. One is to say, I'm wrong, I agree. The other is to say, you're wrong or life is wrong.
Right.
Now, for most babies and toddlers, pre-verbal, okay, all I'm talking about is unconscious and is based on the intelligence of the being, not of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's infiltrated by the mind of the West, of the right-wrong thinking, but we come to conclusions because we need to make sense of what's going on here. This is another survival mechanism. Mm-hmm. We have to understand what's going on. So the explanation that we give is to judge ourselves because we've been judged. And what I've discovered is that very few people, much less than the majority, that takes upon themselves the blame by agreeing that there must be something wrong with me, so I need to change or adjust, or I need to suffocate so many parts of myself in order to accommodate to what you want me to be, so that maybe I can belong and you will see me and you'll accept me. All those deep, deep, deep needs that we all have. Mm-hmm. They manage to maintain, or because, I'll say it in a different way. Because, okay, again, I'll go a few steps backwards. When we're born into the world, two things are happening at once. One is that we came out of the human heaven, which is the womb, mm-hmm. in which all our needs were met without any need from us to ask for anything, right. Which is very important to remember, because then we mix then we have the problem of asking for what we need, which is part of what you mentioned before, which is taking responsibility. It's very hard. It's very uncommon to courageously ask for what we want. Yeah. Especially women, but in general for people. Yeah. We think if we don't ask directly, people will understand without us telling them, and then we call this love. Okay. Right. It's another problem. For this we have Hollywood. Yeah. If you understand me without me asking, I know you love me. Right. If you don't, well, the opposite. Right. Yeah. And the other thing that happens when we come out of the womb is that all of a sudden we're faced with the existence of the other. So we need to, on one hand, to adjust, and on the other hand, to come in touch with the two most powerful forces in us as human beings, which is the need for freedom and the need for security. Okay. And when I teach the whole course, as we hopefully will do in our retreat in Tanglewood in August, I go much deeper into explaining each and every aspect of what I'm bringing now, and many, many more.
Sure.
So now I'm only touching and mentioning them. But one of the tools that have been the most powerful for people to help them in, first of all, understanding themselves, and then have the motivation and the power to create a change and continue, is understanding which of those triangles they belong to, the one of security or the one of freedom. Both of them exist as a survival need for all human beings. All human beings.
Right.
But because of the dependence with which we're born, the physical dependence, most of us tend to go with the need for security as the leading need in our life, early life.
Right.
Later on, for example, in what do you call it, the teenager
Adolescence.
Adolescence, that's it, thank you. Many discover the ability to go for their freedom, and it becomes a rebellion.
Right.
But in the beginning, most of humanity goes into submission, which is very helpful for the adults to manage, as it was for the religions to rule other people. It's the same thing.
And this is all about seeking security.
Pardon?
And you're suggesting this is all about seeking security.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ruled by fear. Ruled by fear,
Right.
because if I don't get the security, and I don't get to belong, and I don't get to be seen by you, and I don't know if you care for me, I'm doomed as a very young person, okay? Don't forget that.
Completely dependent, yes.
Because I'm completely dependent, the fact that you don't see me or you don't give me my place where I know that I belong is registered as a survival threat. And that's what we maintain into adult relationships. Then if I become your partner and you don't show me whatever I call love, I think I stopped existing as well. So the work that we're doing through the compass, for example, is to disentangle the unconscious tie or glue, I would say, between the need, for example, security or freedom, especially security, and the only way that we knew how to fulfill it, which is through this person, in this way, and now.
Okay.
So again, okay, this is very important. This is part of the understanding of how we can untangle and create the change, because as long as we think that the change that we want, and we better clarify to ourselves what exactly is that we want in terms of needs. If we have only one way that we say to ourselves, this, when I achieve this, then I know that I fulfill this need, we are doomed again. When we only have one way, one strategy to meet any need, we lost again the free flow of the needs in our nature, which don't have a form in one way. Okay, so when I get in relationship with a man or a woman in later age period in my life, you know, coming from the attachment that I had to, that was the only way that I could tell that I had this security at home, if my father or mother said that I'm okay or gave me whatever. And I copied this to a much later relationship, and unconsciously I have the idea that only if you da 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 da, that means da 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 da, then I can realize that what I just said is actually a belief and not a description of life.
Exactly.
Because life doesn't have only one form of how things manifest themselves.
Right, right. But that's difficult to do, isn't it? To understand that so many of our ideas are just beliefs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's very difficult, very painful, and very liberating once we get into it with compassion.
Yeah.
Because we can again remember that those beliefs were formed many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Again, under the umbrella of right wrong thinking.
Right.
Okay. And then, for example, it's easy to think, well, I don't deserve love. It's easy. Because if I didn't get it the way I needed it then, under the thinking of right wrong, and I think, aha, it's about me, then I don't deserve.
It must be.
Of course, there's no other
Had to be
solution.
my fault. Yeah, I can't be
Right.
loved.
Right. So, in the process of creating the compassionate change, once we realize that this is not a description of who I am, it's a description of who I believe I am. It's a description of who I became and came to believe. Then I can gradually, really gradually, and with tons of patience and acceptance of how powerful that is, because it's also held by the reptilian brain, which really believes this is about me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So to disentangle this and realize that this is a belief that I can look at, I just look at it and say, wow, where did I learn to believe this? And I can connect to the little girl or the little boy in whose life that happened. I can ask you, for example, do you think there is any boy or girl on this planet who do not deserve to be accepted, not to mention loved?
No, of course not.
Okay, but when it's about you, you say, yeah, but about me is true. You don't know me. I'm really fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm really fucked up.
Well, I
Come
know
closer.
that.
How fucked up I am.
Right, exactly. I believe that subconsciously, many, if not most people, are operating from that perspective.
Yeah, and this is so painful. So painful,
Yeah.
because none of us was born fucked up. None of us.
Right.
I mean, okay, let's say 1 in a million. Okay, I never met this person,
Yeah, yeah.
So how can we walk around with this heavy, judgmental, dense material?
Right.
And believe this is true and try to hide it from you because it's so ugly that how can you even come close to me if you would see that?
Right.
So that's another layer of what we do. We keep hiding and hiding and hiding from ourselves and from others. So
from
please
everyone.
don't see. Please don't see. So the again, it connects to what I said in the beginning. How can I become compassionate to this little girl who had such a hard time that she had to make up a mind, to make up this story of how fucked up she is, in any version possible.
Right.
Do you know from yourself, if you did or you still do have some kind of this inner judgment about yourself, or from other people that you know intimately?
Well,
if you have,
yeah, I mean, certainly in both cases, yes. In fact, I discovered 5 years ago, at the age of 50, that I've been walking around my entire life with this deeply disempowering belief that I wasn't lovable. And I finally discovered that from doing my own work and thought, yeah, wow, I mean, no wonder personal relationships have been so challenging.
Wow.
They can't really love me. I'm not lovable.
Yeah.
Now, today, because this is operating on the subconscious level, it's still there to some extent. Perhaps maybe it always will be, but I'm conscious of it. Yeah. And so when it rears its ugly head, I can usually remember to say, oh, hang on, that's not real. That's just some disempowering belief. But I see this in virtually every person I work with. I see some version of this over and over again.
Yeah. So I want to connect it again to the needs, okay? And make it also more compassionate to us to hold it as is, The reason why we have created unconsciously created all these beliefs and many, many others. You know, they're hanging right here, and we can just peel them and attach to us according to our personality and our own history.
Right.
The reason is usually because we so wanted the security or the belonging or to be seen, that we had to explain to ourselves the reason why they don't give us what we need, as to justify that by blaming ourselves.
Right.
And then it's not only that we blamed ourselves, it became the belief of the particular flavor of a wrongness. You know, each one their own flavor, which is why it's so fascinating to work with people and discover their individual version of that picture. On top of that belief that is created out of the need to either belong or to feel security or to be seen or to know that I matter, on top of that, we created a set of patterns of behavior. For example, pleasing. So many people learn to shut down their instinctual flow and gear themselves towards the other, you know, unconsciously, then, many, many years ago, in the hope to be accepted or to belong. Or to know that I can have my place to bring myself, not fully, of course, because I shut down many parts of me, but at least if I please you and I'm geared towards you, you will accept me.
Right.
And we needed that. That was a survival need. It was not luxury.
Right. Right. So it's our inability to recognize that this is no longer necessary for our actual physical survival. And to keep using this, relying on this, when we might in fact be giving ourselves away.
Sorry, Lauren. I actually wasn't listening. I all of a sudden realized that someone has put a question in the chat, so I was reading it.
Okay.
So,
I was just saying that I think we get stuck here, not realizing that we no longer depend on this strategy for physical survival.
Yes.
And yet we keep relying on it, even when it ensures that we don't become who we could be, that we don't meet our own needs, and so enjoy our own life and get, you know, have what we want. We're giving ourselves away in that sense.
I am sadly agreeing with you. Yeah. And this ties back to what I said in the beginning. This is how we are held, you know, by the power of the reptilian brain, which keeps repeating what it knows.
Exactly.
All our behaviors and beliefs and what I call the vow, which I'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the society, which keeps all around us, it's unbelievable to realize that. All around us, people think right, wrong.
Yeah.
So how can I not keep believing that something here, mostly me, is wrong?
Yeah.
But because I want to hide my wrongness, I will judge you. So I'll bring it out, you know, and I'll keep fueling the right-wrong thinking.
Mm-hmm. So how do we do that? How do we avoid that?
So again and again and again and again, it's coming back to understanding that all this was born out of needs. There is no one to blame, not us and not them. They were doing whatever they knew.
Exactly.
Okay, so
trying to get their needs met.
Yes. Yeah. So what we realize, and this is so helpful, is that we are not going to change the needs. We cannot, because this is part of our spirit and our soul. For me, the needs are the temple of the soul in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So precious and important and eternal.
Right.
So I'm not going to change my needs, and needs are not ugly or nice. They're just who I am.
They just are, right. And yeah, I'm sorry, Arnina, it occurs to me that I think I agree with you completely. We can't decide not to need something anymore.
Right.
Right? We're not going to change our needs that way. Of course, over time, our needs may very well change as we evolve.
It's not that our needs change. It's the emphasis on needs changes.
Okay.
For example, when you're 4 years old, you're not yet busy with your sexual identity.
Right.
When you're 1 year old, you are, or half year old, you're not busy with social belonging.
Mm-hmm.
But it exists in you. It just like the language exists as a potential, all the needs exist as a potential inside of you as you were born.
Okay.
As
Sure.
you grow up, or in
Right.
certain situations, they come to life.
They become expressed. Yeah.
And there is a
Right.
personal hierarchy of needs in every person. You know, it's like, for me, the need to know that I matter, for example, could be stronger than for you. Although I don't believe so, I think this is one of the needs that is very strong for most of human beings.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, to know that I belonging, okay, belonging could be a very important need for some people,
Mm-hmm.
and it usually comes with a certain strategy, which is what I want to talk about, and this is where we create the change.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have this need of belonging, okay, and it's not going to change. But if I learned in my brain, you know, I made the connection, only if people invite me to all the parties during the year of the class, that means that I belong, then
Right.
I'm not connected to the flow of the need of belonging, but more to the demanding energy that comes with the belief that says only if.
Gotcha.
Every time that we hear ourselves thinking only if, then we know we are not in a need energy,
Right.
but in a demand energy.
Right.
So that is where our work, where our conscious transformational work is going to lie on.
Mm-hmm.
To disentangle everything that is a strategy from the purity of the need, and gradually, very, very gradually, finding new strategies to fulfill those same needs which are not harmful. For example, okay, if I, as a child, okay, I had a very strong need to be seen. I'm talking about myself now, not as an example, as a real example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it was geared especially towards my father, who was so judgmental that I hardly ever felt accepted. This is a very mild way of describing my childhood, but I'm
Okay.
describing it right now.
Okay.
So for me, okay, the need to be seen / to know that I matter became hugely dominant. Okay, and many of my actions and my pleasing and my judging myself and my believing that I don't know because he knew everything, all that structure that I became to believe and live through was created out of the need to be seen, which I'm guessing underneath that was the need to be accepted and know that I'm okay and all that family.
Right.
So for many, many, many years, I was driven by that need, which in the form of maintaining the belief that I don't know. It's a very deep belief that I had. I don't have it anymore, thank God, through the work that I've done.
Yeah.
But I really believed that I don't know because he knew. So, for example, I went into other relationships and I chose people who refueled the belief in me that they are more whatever, you know, more knowledgeable, more intelligent, more whatever than me.
Right.
So I kept choosing that kind of a person to be with, unconsciously, of course, because this is where we are geared by the reptilian brain for the repetition.
Right. Right.
And then I have the hope, unconsciously again, that with this person I could do the healing work. But since I chose the person who could not do that, I had to move to the next person, and the next person, and the next person, until I realized that I only have myself to do the work with, the healing work with.
Right, right, sure.
And what was the healing work, actually? To realize that my need to be seen was only attached to the belief that only if people say that I am da-da-da-da-da-da-da, then I know that I'm seen or appreciated, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the thing that one of the amazing things is to realize that when we do this compassionate work and look at this young little girl, hurt one inside, and look at her and begin to ask her and figure out what happened to her that gave rise to all that structure that she created on top of the need in her unconscious belief that this wouldn't meet her, that need, you know, to please the father, to please the other people, so that they accept her finally and they say that they approve of her. What happened to her? And realized that it all was lying on the need to be seen or accepted, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
The magic is that when I give that compassionate look to this girl inside, the spell is melted, because I myself give myself the fulfillment of the need to be seen by looking at me with compassion. With compassion.
Right.
That's the news. That's the news.
Yes.
Not with judgment, because with judgment I already looked at myself many, many times.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that one
Yes.
I don't teach anymore. I don't need to teach people know how to do it.
So now you mentioned earlier that this key piece that we are complete as infants, right?
Yeah.
And yet I think at some level, I think we so often we fail to see that we're no longer dependent, that we're actually capable of meeting all of our own needs or getting them met.
Yeah. Yes. So again, it ties back to actually to where I was in this minute. So when I realized that the belief that I don't know, for example, or that for other people that I don't matter, or that I'm not worth, or that only if other people help me I can manage, any kind of belief. Okay,
Right.
That belief maintains the need to be seen in only that it only can be met in this form.
Right.
So we tried to meet that need with that invention of that structure of beliefs and whatever we did. It didn't work, and at the same time, I gave up, for example, on the need to express myself, or the need for my to bring my truth, or for for creativity. The question that I was reading before, as I told you, was just that. She says, very helpful webinar. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I would like to ask, what are the other human psychological or mental needs you have already mentioned? Security and freedom. And yes, this is exactly what I'm doing now. There are many, many other needs. And what I'm doing by mentioning mostly the security and the freedom is to organize them into huge families where they fall. And as we go deeper into the course of learning and the retreat that we're planning, we will introduce them. I'm introducing the most important ones now. So let's say in the triangle of freedom, we have inside the freedom as that family. Okay, self-expression, truth as something that is very important to me, creativity, and many others, meaning, okay? Those belong more into the survival need of freedom of the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So when I as a child, and as many millions others children go unconsciously, okay, for the need for security in the form of wanting to be seen or to belong, or to know that I have a place. All those are needs in the family of security. When I do that and I create all the structure of the belief that whatever, you know, that I don't matter, or that I'm not worth, or that I don't know, or that I cannot do without them, any kind of belief that is trying to serve the need to be seen by pleasing them into being what they want me to be. Not only is this need not really met, I give up on the whole other family of needs.
Right.
So I remain very, very lonely inside, lonely because I cut myself for myself.
So let me make sure I understand.
Let me just say one thing here, okay? Just one,
go ahead.
then I'll hear, okay? So the work that we do with the help of the compass is to realize which was the huge need that we were operating on, which was the huge need that we gave up on, And how do we find a strategy that will liberate us from the spell of this is the only way I can exist, and move towards the other need? So, and with that strategy that will give fulfillment for both of them, for sometimes for the first time in my life.
Right.
I want to finish this part, but just saying that, for example, okay, for me, a huge moment of a new understanding of myself that gave rise to another layer of liberation was when I realized that underneath the belief I don't know lied the huge need to trust myself.
Yeah.
So once I realized that, I remember the moment, it was like a shock, like an electric shock. Because I was so used to believing that I don't know, that it was so much my identity, I didn't know myself as any other form of being.
Right.
So for me to understand that what I'm really yearning for is to trust myself instead of trusting whoever out there, outside. Yes. Or a man I'm married to, for example, for 10 years because I trust only him, although I don't get any of my needs met in that relationship.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank God, after realizing
a common scenario. A common scenario.
I know. Yeah. But for me, as well as for many, many thousands of people who've learned this course with me, or this life path, when I realized that, that what I call the vertical line of understanding my deepest yearning, need, whatever you call it, is such a huge connection to my life power, that it gives me the power to move away from the glue into whatever I want to discover, which is another form of me being in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful. So this, you're talking about realizing what this huge need was, realizing what need you gave up, realizing all the effects of this, and this is what the compass is intended to do. Yes. So, how did you discover the compass? How did this? You're dealing with these issues as everyone is. How did you discover this?
I everything that I am now is now under the compass.
Yeah.
Is like I just described, processes that I did with myself.
Gotcha.
Some of it was with the help of NVC, non-violent communication. Some was with the help of the work of Byron Katie. The mere action of asking myself questions.
Yeah.
A huge tool for liberation.
Sure.
As long as I don't ask questions, I keep believing whatever I know for certain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is very tricky, because again, it goes against the reptilian brain. Don't ask, just do.
That's right. You're challenging everything you know to be true. That puts you in dangerous territory.
Exactly.
That's what our reptilian brain is telling us, isn't it?
Yeah. But I thank God I didn't give up, and I kept asking questions. I kept looking for questions.
Yeah.
Then one day I discovered what I call the vow, which is the most powerful, how do I call it, phenomenon for human beings that I discovered, which underneath all the structures that I mentioned, it also gets born out of a need, usually the same need which gave rise to the life belief that I have about myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the what do you call it? The thing that ties you to the mother when you're born as a baby.
Umbilical cord.
Yeah, that one. It's the mental umbilical cord. That vow. What is the vow for me? It's a structure of thinking or a task that I unconsciously took upon myself, sometimes even before I was born. Okay, that powerful it is. For example, if I come to a third generation of a grandmother who was beaten by her husband, for example, okay? And then that grandmother was cruel to my mother. and
Okay.
I sense the pain of the mother.
Yeah.
I will be born as the one taking care of my mother,
Mm.
unconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
Many such phenomena happen, and this is another field which is discovered recently of generational, what do you call it?
Dynamics?
I don't know how to call it. It's not dynamics, it's heritage, for example, okay?
Okay.
Things that pass from generation to generation unconsciously,
I see.
and until one of us doesn't wake up, it keeps happening.
Right.
There is this something called family constellation. I don't know if you know about it.
Yes, I do.
Many people. Right. So they are based on this understanding.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That habits and keep moving through generations.
Yes.
So the vow usually is. There's another echo again. I see that there's another question. I'll get to it in a minute. The vow is some structure of contract that I have with one or two of my parents, usually, or sometimes with another important figure in my life. Could be in school, could be much later, but usually it happens in the first years,
Okay.
in which I swear unconsciously. For example, with my father, it was that I will forever be the one unknowing. And this is in the name of the hope that he will finally approve of me. So it's a different flavor from the belief itself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what we can do with the echo, because it's really annoying. Hello, hello, hello. It stopped. You see? There is
It
a
just wanted to be
God.
recognized. It just wanted to be recognized, Aryeh.
They have a need as well.
It needed your
Right.
attention. Yeah.
I hope it stopped for other people too.
Yeah.
So this vow is what maintains my connection. It's the last thread of connection, but it's a very strong one. In my case, with my father, throughout all the years, even if after he's dead for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
It was held until 3 years ago for me. 3.5
What
years. And that
What
is when I was sitting here at home on my sofa, and it hit me that this is it. This is what's holding my life in where they are. It was much more powerful than the belief, the belief, which is already very powerful as a glue to not moving or not changing.
Right.
And once first of all, when I realized it, I was really, I cannot tell you how shocked I was to just see it in front of me. And then people ask me, how do you release the vow? And that can, first of all, it could take years to discover the vow exactly. The words. I really listen when I work with people and help them discover themselves. I listen to every word they say, because the words come from the unconscious, and all of a sudden we can catch a word that means so much to this person that we can go from there and discover something which is very hidden from that person even.
Interesting.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Really fascinating.
Very
Really fascinating. Yeah. So people ask me how to release the vow, and this could be a very personal ceremony, or a ceremony we can do together, or just releasing it in the like in guided imagery, or anything that could help us. But for me, understanding something usually creates vibrations emotionally and physically that already release something of what was held. And for many people, it's the same.
Yes.
So just realizing something creates some shift and liberation.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I want to read the question that person asked, okay?
Yeah.
What do you think, that's the question. What do you think about the system pull over our eyes by society to control us? Example, having a lot of money, namely equal security and freedom. Taxes control our freedom. That cannabis is illegal, knowing that it cures cancer, etc. Well, I think it's almost obvious that I believe that the world is still operating on the what I call the kingdom of fear, or the rule of fear. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, no doubt.
oh, definitely. I mean, this
No
is
doubt.
proven to control people in many, many subtle and non-subtle ways. All the wars are driven by the fear of the other.
Right.
So many things are still operated on this system. So my dream and vision and hope is that I can reach many, many people, I and other people who do this visionary, luminary work that enable us to enlarge the community of people who choose to break free from this conditioning of generational conditioning. I mean, it takes courage, it takes persistence, it takes listening, and it takes compassion. And this is what I teach. This is what I teach. I mean, those powers are possible. They're accessible. We have them. We all have them.
Right.
We just lost the trust. That's all.
Beautiful. So Arniina,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, we've spent quite a bit of time talking about these powers that block us from change and how we can overcome these things. And you've shared so much already. Obviously, it would take a long time to share everything you can with us. But that's what we're going to be doing during our 7-day retreat.
Exactly. I really want to mention that.
Yeah, tell us what's going to happen. What do you expect to occur during that 7-day retreat?
Yeah. Oh God, I'm so looking forward to that. I just spent 2 weeks in Germany, where I was teaching 4 days of this work of the compass, which is less than 7 days, but it's more than 1 day, more than an hour and a half.
You're a mathematician too.
No, that kind of mathematics I still know.
Okay.
I'm saying that because it was such an elating experience.
Yeah.
To see how in so few days people, when they're touching and touched by this material and so many other tools that I present and work with and have lived, and the fact that I bring them from my own spirit and body and not as external theory is so powerful and is so helpful, because I from the inside get people. This is how I'm structured,
Yeah.
So it's a big joy for me to be there with people and support them in the everyday transformation that they're going through. So there is a whole structure of the compass which I present in that context of a retreat. There are 3 intentions, which are connect, choose, influence. I can say that, and this is holding the whole system.
Right.
Connect ourselves or others, choose differently, and influence others. I mean, I really want to help people become messengers of the new consciousness, and help as many others as possible to accelerate this process of breaking free from this rule of fear.
Yeah.
Then there are 4 keys which help us move through. And then there are 7 gates, which is the process we go through. And then there are really tens of tools we can stop and many stops and see how we manage to this kind of a problem, this kind of a belief, this kind of a relationship. How do we communicate with ourselves and others in such a different way that during those days that we are together, we already sense the difference? I mean, it doesn't take years when you tap into the truth of the matter.
Sure.
This is such a joy for me to know that and to be there with people when that happens. I'm thinking about you now. I'm sure you have the same joy when you see people transforming physically and mentally through your processes.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question
It's
about it.
unbelievable.
It's,
Unbelievable, Joy.
it's what's kept me going for more than 20 years with this work, even when it's sometimes challenging.
Yes. Yes. How is it challenging? Could you tell?
Well, it's challenging in many ways. I'm taking people through processes that are often very difficult for them. And
Yeah.
so I'm not always seeing people's best sides. And how it is when people are really getting their buttons pushed. Yes, I'm sure you do. Yeah. So now during this 1 week retreat, that's a significant amount of time.
It is.
People can expect, I mean, obviously what happens for each person is different and partly depends on what they put into it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know what happens? I think one of the gifts that I have is that I so much accept people where they are that they feel confidence to really bring themselves.
Yeah.
And people dive into places you cannot even imagine what comes out and what happens when they go there.
Yeah.
We are there in the ugliest stuff that we can find,
Right.
and we come out liberated and healthy and healed, and oh my goodness, this is so great, really. Time after time after time, I've been doing this work for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
In various forms. It always was
Right.
this. I just didn't know it was called the compass.
Right. Well, I think it kind of comes together more and more all the time as your own realization grows.
I keep discovering things all the time. I keep discovering. It's like unbelievable.
I
and
relate
especially when I teach, when I teach and things are born out of the connection with people, the discoveries flow in the air like one after the other.
It's amazing what happens.
Yes.
So folks, this is going to be an incredibly powerfully transformative week. And if you're ready, I'm going to make a bold statement here, but if you're ready to truly let go of fear and begin creating exactly what you'd like, to create the freedom that you know you want and probably aren't feeling right now, I'm going to encourage you to come join us. Come spend a week with us in paradise and get more of this amazing insight that Arniina has developed over the years.
Wait a minute. Come spend time with us in hell and end up in paradise.
Okay, there you go. Right, yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But it's interesting what you say. It's so true. I mean, I see people sometimes that come here, and this is, folks, if you haven't been here yet or you haven't been to our website and looked at our photographs, there'll soon be a video tour coming. We have a professional here right now that's going to be working with us, a good dear friend of mine. And, we're in this amazingly beautiful place, and it's tranquil and peaceful, and we have these incredibly beautiful staff members who are always smiling and happy to do whatever they can to serve you, and yet people experience it as hell sometimes because we carry our own hell with us wherever we go.
Yes, I just want to be, just say to people that I am staying there after the retreat to go through the physical hell. After we go through the mental liberation, I am committed to this water fasting that you offer. Unfortunately, I committed myself to that. And I'm going to stay after that week.
Listen, this, the work that you've been doing is critically important, and I'm not sure, you may not know this about me, because although we've had the chance to speak on various occasions, we've been talking mostly about your work and how we can incorporate it here. But I'm completely focused on supporting people in transforming themselves, becoming the best version of themselves possible, optimizing their potential. And that, of course, means doing this work. And that's why I've been teaching NVC myself. That's why I'm not a certified trainer. It's something I've gotten into myself, but I've been doing now for a long time. Work of Byron Katie, same thing. And so it's what made me so excited to find you and what you were up to, because it's a perfect fit, because we're not just about the physical transformation. We're about the whole thing. And you definitely, how do I say this? You've tapped into something here that's incredibly powerful, and you've been putting it to work in your own life in ways that are enormous. What you're out there helping thousands of people transform in very powerful ways. And I think honestly, I think everybody, even those people who you would look at and look at what they're doing and maybe how they're misbehaving and think, these folks don't want to help anybody. But I think the truth is that we all do, deep down. We want to contribute in some way. And you're making an enormous contribution. And I think what you're going to find is that this work that you're going to do with us afterwards is going to allow you to take it to an even higher level. So I'd like to invite all of you to stick around after the retreat and do the same thing, except that we're already completely 100% booked.
For that round, yeah?
For that session. So that won't be possible. I think we actually have one space for a woman open for October, and we have one space for a man open for October, but we're full from September 3rd to November 5th, except for those spaces.
I can give up on my place. I'm very, very generous, you know.
Not so easy. So
no.
So listen, folks. Here's an opportunity for you, because what Arnina's been sharing really is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. She's given you a lot of the structure, a lot of the background to understand, but the much more challenging part is actually getting into it and putting it to work. And
the personal work, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it all comes down to the personal work.
Yeah.
Right. You have to be willing to do that, but doing that can be really difficult for people without some guidance, without some support, without having a protective environment where you can do it. And that's what's going to occur here for you from August 26th through September. Actually, I believe it's August 27th to September 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. August 27th to September 3rd. And there's an amazing opportunity because we do have spaces available. We've booked some spaces, but we still have lots of space available right now. But we're offering, we had an early registration discount that was going to end, I believe, yesterday. Except that what happened was we got so busy here, we didn't get a chance to get the word out to everybody as early as we would have liked to. So
I'm going to share on the screen the early bird price.
Yeah, please.
Yep, I hope you can see that.
There it is.
Yep, great.
So if you're not seeing your screen for some reason, if you've got a bad picture, whatever it might be, normally the price is $21.95. We do expect this to fill up at that price, but we have an early bird discount of only $17.50, and that will be good until next Sunday, June 19th, 2016. Yeah. That price includes full participation in the retreat. That's a bed in one of our standard double rooms. You'll be sharing with one other person. If you don't come with someone, we'll pair you with someone of the same sex. That includes all of your meals and shuttle service to and from the airport. And it's going to be an amazing time. We're going to be working here in the beautiful environment we've created here at Tanglewood. We're also going to spend some time at the beach together, doing some work under the palm trees. There's going to be some time to relax, get a massage. There'll be yoga. I mean, it's going to be a wonderful opportunity to both explore this work and do it in a setting where you can take a break from your real life, quote unquote, because it's so powerful to be able to get away. Everything changes in an environment like this.
Yes, I so totally agree with you. I so hope that so many people will show up. I mean, not so many people, because I don't want hundreds.
Right.
But really, it's such a transformational process that I so wish for people to experience it. I have not enough words for that.
Right.
I want to put up the link for the registration, and we're going to send it to you by email anyways. So if you don't now, you will receive it.
So we'll email this to you. Take a look at the pages about this, because in addition to this amazingly powerful work, you'll be in this beautiful setting where you'll have daily maid service, as I mentioned, the massage. We have lots of hammocks around the property. We have a saltwater swimming pool, a big, beautiful trampoline, which is a lot of fun. We're going to take you to an amazing waterfall close by. 3 organic raw vegan meals every day. Accommodations, meals, shuttles. It's going to be a wonderful time. And We're not going to have hundreds of people here. I promise you that, because space is limited. So there is a limit. We'll expect to fill up. This is an opportunity now to get in at a discount. What happens after the 19th is there is a early registration price of $18.70. And do you remember, Arniina, when that price expires? Because I don't remember.
No, but I'm sure we'll send it to them by email once we find out. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
And the thing we're saying now is this, that we want you to come, that we are extending those early bird and lower price, so that if price is a matter, then you can talk with us and you can pay the cheaper one, the lower one, so that you can do your life transformation work. And I really want to support you in that. I have so much to offer, and I want you to receive it, whoever you.
I'm with you completely, Arniina, and I'm going to remind everybody here of something that I think everybody deep down knows is true. You know, one of the objections we hear all the time, we get people to contact us and say they want to come, but they don't have the $3,000 or $4,000 they need to spend the time here that they would really need to. And I think what's true is that we always can find a way to create a means when we really want to. And if you're ready to let go of fear and move into freedom, this is an amazing opportunity, because if I'm not mistaken, Arniina, you've been traveling and teaching this work for many years. Yeah. You teach in Israel, you teach in the US, you teach in Europe, but you mostly do 1 and 2 and 3 day workshops.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time you've done a program like this one.
7 days is the first time. I have a yearly course where I teach the compass to people who want to work with other people as well. That's a very large program. But as a concise encounter, yes, the 7 days is the first time, and I am truly looking forward to that. I think it's going to be amazingly transformational.
I think it will too. I think it will too, and I hope that you'll be able to join us if you're listening today, and you're ready to let go of disempowering beliefs and habits. You can change those things, and Arniina can show you how.
Yep.
So come join us. We'll look forward to seeing you here. Arniina,
I will read the last comment that
please. Yeah.
She or he wrote, "Yes, that's true. Thanks. Thank you. If more people break free from fear, the system will follow this way, and maybe things will change."
Indeed.
The great work is about our inner self needs. Yes, totally agree with every word, and I'm glad that that's what you took, and that we become more and more of us luminary holders of the truth and freedom, and work together. And first of all, learn compassion towards ourselves, and as fast as possible, bring it to everyone on this planet.
Yes, indeed.
Amen.
Exactly. Yeah. Arniina, thank you so much for sharing everything with us today.
Thank you for...
No, it's been a pleasure. I can't even tell you how much we're looking forward to having you here, and I'm looking forward to going through the process myself and being able to share it with so many other people.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Lauren. Thank you for Hila and Reut, who have been behind the scenes and supporting.
Yes, exactly. Making it all happen. Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody, take care.
Talk to you.
We'll look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.